Good morning, Washington. Hello and welcome to Manufacturing Week Live. I'm Chris Johnson, President and CEO of the Association of Washington Business. AWB is deeply proud and honored to serve as the state's Chamber of Commerce and Manufacturing Association. Today, we're reporting live from Clover Park Technical College here in beautiful Lakewood. This morning, we kick off Manufacturing Week, AWB's annual celebration of Washington manufacturing. Manufacturing is essential. It's essential to Washington's success, it's essential to our economy, and it's essential to our everyday life and our safe economic recovery. Today, there are more than 250,000 men and women who wake up every morning and go to work in a manufacturing job. These men and women, they're our heroes. They're making masks, gowns, hand sanitizer, and so much more to help us fight COVID-19. And they're making the computers like the one I'm using, software, semi-trucks, aircraft, and other products that have powered our economy for decades. Manufacturing means good family wage jobs. In fact, the annual compensation for a worker in the manufacturing space is $93,000 per year. Let me say that again, $93,000 per year is what the average worker makes in compensation at a great Washingtonian company. When manufacturing succeeds, Washington's families and their communities succeed. And while this industry is essential to our state's success, it's facing unprecedented challenges. Unpredictable regulations, a trade war, and the pandemic are just a few of the many headwinds that are barraging this manufacturing sector today. In fact, last year, there were 295,000 manufacturing jobs in the state, which means this crucial sector lost 30,000 jobs over the past year. And we know for every one job in manufacturing, it supports 3 throughout our economy. But there's a lot we can do to help. Washington's manufacturers need great infrastructure, better roads, ports, and waterways to get goods to market. Families need access to quality, affordable childcare to get to work, especially when schools are closed. And a steady, reliable energy supply is critical for our success. We'll explore these issues and so much more over the course of the Manufacturing Week. And perhaps most importantly of all, we're going to tell the many fantastic stories of Washington manufacturing. This year's format's a little different, of course. For the past 3 years, we've taken a nice 53-foot-long bus all across the state of Washington to engage with employers and their employees and tell the great story of manufacturing. Well, this year, it's a little bit different. So this year, we're bringing the stories to you, and we're bringing them to you virtually. So in addition to today's show, we'll be broadcasting Monday through Friday of next week. Our shows will air from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m., plus or minus, depending on how long the show runs, but live through our website, mfgiswa.org. Again, mfgiswa.org, or watch it on our Facebook page. Each show is going to have a different feel to it. It's going to be in a different location with a different theme. And today, our theme is about workforce and education and talking about the great careers and pathways that are available for Washingtonians in the manufacturing space. It also happens to be National Manufacturing Day, an annual celebration in all 50 states promoted by the National Association of Manufacturers, and we're honored to serve as their state partner. Before we get underway, I want to pause for a moment to say that, like all of you, we woke up this morning to the news that the President and the First Lady have tested positive for COVID-19. In a year filled with challenge and turmoil, this is one more piece of distressing and sobering news. We join today with all Americans in wishing the President and First Lady a full and swift recovery, and we long for the day when our state and our nation and the world can put this pandemic behind us. Now let's get started. We've got a great show today. We'll hear from our PPE heroes, including Jennifer and Justin Stiefel of Heritage Distilling, and just a few of the many employers who answered AWB and the governor's call for action early this year to pivot to make important and much needed personal protection equipment. We're going to take a tour of the state-of-the-art, greenest and newest energy recycling facility in North America, Sutter Metals. And we'll connect with a former student of Clover Park Technical College who made a career out of working in this incredible dynamic sector. Stay tuned for Jan Yoshawara, the President and CEO of the Washington State Community and Technical College System, Chris Nesmith, the Career Technical Education Director at West Valley High School, and Pierce County's Executive and Small Business Owner, Bruce Dammeier. He'll be joined also by Representatives Monica Stonier and Mari Leavitt of the Washington legislature. Today's programming is made possible by our good friends at Premera Blue Cross. They are the presenting sponsor for the 2020 manufacturing tour. Premera is investing $250 million to improve access to care, combat homelessness, and support important programs that address behavioral health and mental health issues in our local communities. No matter where you are, just like us, Premera is in your corner. So sit back and relax and get ready to take a look inside Washington manufacturing. And here to help get us started this morning is Claire Korshanowski, the Dean of Instruction at Clover Park Technical College. Good morning, Claire. Thank you for having us here this morning.
Thank you, Chris and AWB, for having us today.
So to get us started, tell us a little bit about where we're at today and the exciting programs that are here.
Yeah. Well, you're at Clover Park Technical College, located in Lakewood, Washington. We are part of the 34 community and technical college system in Washington State. And the building that you're in is our Center for Advanced Manufacturing. It's a brand new building. It's about 60,000 square foot in its stature. It houses 4 training workforce programs that are state-of-the-art with state-of-the-art technology and training.
You have some new programs here.
We do.
Share a little bit about that if you would.
Yeah, in this building in particular, we have mechatronics, we have non-destructive testing, we have a brand new Bachelor's of Applied Science in mechatronics, and a bachelor's degree in operations management.
Does every 33 other colleges in the state have all the same programs that you have, or do you have a couple that are unique and special to you?
Yeah, non-destructive testing is a unique program to us. It's a regional program for Clover Park. We are unique in the fact that no other college or community college has a non-destructive testing program that trains technicians to go into the workforce to inspect parts for deficiencies.
We know that here in Pierce County there's a strong manufacturing base. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about how you're preparing students for the careers and jobs of tomorrow?
Absolutely. We really pride ourselves on hands-on training. That means when you come to Clover Park, you find yourself the majority of your time in the labs, working on the equipment, so that when you find yourself employed, we want to ensure that our students have the hands-on training and the skills to be prepared to go right into the workforce. And that spans over, we actually have 40 professional technical programs at Clover Park. Manufacturing is just a segment of them.
And you have a mix of students, right? You have some that are working today but coming here at night to skill up to get the next job that they want and all, right? It's not just a student fresh out of high school.
That's right. We see students from our Running Start students to adults that are returning from work to skill up or to pivot in their career. Perhaps they want to get that management position, so they're considering a different training program like a bachelor's degree in operations management as an example. Yeah.
You know, we're all dealing with COVID. Can you talk a little bit about how's that impacted instruction? How's that impacted labs?
Sure. We had to, as many companies, had to pivot very quickly and to be responsive for our students. And we were able to do so successfully. We had to shift a lot of our theory online. And during the time where a lot of us were shut down, our faculty were so innovative. They decided to do things like take-home kits, where they would kit the lab instead of students coming to campus as they couldn't. They would develop take-home kits. The students can still do the lessons at home in that hybrid learning environment. Today we are back. We are back and in our labs, and we're doing that very safely, following COVID protocols and ensuring that students continue to learn and have that hands-on training, but to do that safely.
In fact, we have students behind us in the destructive testing program right now, right?
Yep, we do.
And they're getting ready to take a test.
They are getting ready to take a test. Yep.
I'm sure they love test day as much as I do. No.
Yeah.
Hey, how has your enrollment been impacted by the lack of accessibility for childcare for people who are trying to both learn and take care of their young ones at home?
Yeah, I think it definitely has played a factor. Times are tough right now with kids at school, K-12s at home. Some students have decided now's not the time to go back to school. Clover Park has done our best to keep our childcare open for our students as best we can so we can continue to support our students. But it's difficult to come to school either by the day, or even if you're working at home in a hybrid context, that still can be difficult to focus when you're trying to worry about your second grader also taking school online as well. It's a factor for sure.
You know, every January the legislature convenes to talk about education, taxes, state policy and all. But, you know, is there a message or two that you would want to have legislators hear as they get ready to come back together and face some really unprecedented times?
Yeah, I would like to say to them that workforce training, technical college training is critical to our economic recovery. We need technicians. We need technicians as manufacturing didn't get shut down during the pandemic. They were critical to our survival in terms of PPE and our community response. We need to continue to do that and to support those programs.
Well, we're out of time here.
Yeah.
You're the first interview. You kicked us off
Yeah.
great. Some closing thoughts about your partnership with the private sector community around you, how you collaborate with business to provide the workforce of tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. That also is a critical partnership for Clover Park. Our faculty to remain current and on top of industry trends. It is our mission to not only educate tomorrow's workforce, to make sure that tomorrow's workforce that we are delivering what is needed, the skill sets of tomorrow. In order to do that, we have to have ongoing partnerships through our advisory boards, ensuring that community organizations are heavily involved in the work that we do on a daily basis.
To you, the faculty, students, and to the president, thank you for hosting us and thank you for having us today.
Delighted to be here.
Thank you much. All right, and now to welcome our next guest, we'll share a short video from the Career Technical Education Program at West Valley High School in Yakima, Washington.
We're a top 12 employer in the Valley, and we definitely struggle with trying to fill positions here. We started doing career fairs and trying to get the PEXCO name out there a while ago. And in those career fairs, I believe it's the first time that we heard about the program for the apprenticeship.
The Ajax Youth Apprenticeship Program started as a partnership between the West Valley School District and the Aerospace Joint Apprenticeship Committee, with help from local employers here in the Yakima Valley.
There's a big shortage of welders and machinists in the area, so if a kid comes in with some knowledge and they don't have to spend all their time training, it's a big benefit.
You know, first I thought I'd just be babysitting somebody, but after reading through the book and the program, it's really cool.
Walking in was definitely a new experience. It's a lot different, a different vibe definitely. Everybody's focused.
In the classroom, you're kind of taught, you're taught everything. So when I brought the apprentice in, I taught him what was relevant to our work.
Steve has been really great. He's helping me through a lot of stuff. He's teaching me a lot of new things and giving me the shop way to do it, because there's definitely a difference between the school way and the shop way.
He's got an excellent drive. He's doing machining now, but in the future he wants to go to school to be an engineer.
I'll be able to understand what I'm drawing and make the drawings so that people making the parts can actually understand them.
Students now feel like they have several career pathways that they can pursue, not only after high school, but during high school, which is incredibly important. Not every student is meant for a four-year college route, so it's important that we provide opportunities for every student. This could be two-year colleges, four-year colleges, and apprenticeship programs as well.
School was kind of hard for me. Like, I couldn't focus in school. Now I only have 3 periods a day and I'm doing this half of my days.
You can kind of tell when they get back to school here, they're all puffed up like, I got a job, I'm working, I'm making money.
I'll come in at 6:30 in the morning and work till 10:30, and then I'll head off to school and do the last 3 periods of the day.
That's a great opportunity for them. You get college credits, you get paid training, and you get hours towards your journeyman card.
So these students get an opportunity to work in an industry that is booming, that is not only in demand, but these skill sets can be transferred into higher occupations, and they will have work for the rest of their lives.
The thing I'm most proud of is just watching the maturity of the students from when they started to when they at the end, how much they really change.
I've been really impressed with the caliber of the individuals that we've gotten from the program. It's something that I wish all the companies here in the Valley that can afford to do it would do, because it not only represents PEXCO and West Valley, but it's the right thing to do for the community as we look for our young adults to be able to succeed and bring value back into the area.
Every day I come in, I'm learning something new, definitely. And this is kind of what I want to do for the rest of my life, so it gave me that.
Well, welcome back, everyone. We're glad to have you here with us this morning. Up next is Ness, the Technical Education and Program Director at West Valley High School in Yakima, Washington. Chris, it's great to see you. I wish we were in person, not by Zoom, but you're giving us a first-hand look at where you're at today. So welcome on into today's program.
Yeah, I'm really happy to be here, Chris. Thank you.
Hey, you've got an exciting program there in Yakima. Can you just share a little bit about how you're exciting young people about the great careers and the great opportunities that exist in manufacturing?
Of course. I mean, currently I'm right now in our 7th grade manufacturing and algebra lab. And I think a better way to kind of look at your question is how are we using manufacturing to excite students about algebra skills? So 85% of our students complete algebra while they're in junior high. And it's because as they learn about coordinate grid, they get to program a CNC machine. As they learn about X and Y's, and they get to figure out lean manufacturing skills. So how manufacturing has done more than exciting kids about manufacturing. Manufacturing has excited our students about academic skills.
Yeah, I have a 7th or 8th grader. Maybe I'll send them on over to the program, Chris. Hey, talk to us a little bit about where your students end up going. Tell us about what type of companies, where in the state of Washington do they go, and what type of income might they expect in a job in manufacturing?
Well, we are a Core Plus school. We start Core Plus in the 7th grade, and we run it all the way through high school. And currently, Boeing Aerospace, in our partnership with Core Plus, will come to our high school and hire our students right out of our campus at $55,000 a year. Students moving into their senior year can move into the Ajax Aerospace Joint Apprenticeship Training Committee's registered apprenticeship, and they can earn $28,000 a year alone just in their senior year of high school while they're working, earning a 2,000-hour journeyman certification. The majority of our students stay with their companies at the $40,000 to $50,000 a year mark, with a third moving on to mechanical engineering degrees in college. So through manufacturing and our manufacturing training principles through Core Plus Aerospace and Ajax Registered Apprenticeship, really there's no ceiling limit. The students can go anywhere.
Chris, you're a champion for jobs in this important space of manufacturing. What would be a message you would share to a parent about why they should be excited for their child to go into the manufacturing space?
The big thing I would like parents to know is the number one thing stopping students from completing a post-secondary education is they have no idea why they're there. And manufacturing is huge in Washington State, and it gives students a purpose and a reason to pursue that final education. We learned that when we built our career pathways in West Valley, our high school completion and our post-secondary enrollment rates skyrocketed because we started giving students a purpose. And that's what we need, and that's what our education system needs.
You know, we're all adapting to this COVID environment. I suspect if this was a normal school day, those labs would be full behind you. Talk to me a little bit about what is it like to be a CTE director in the middle of the greatest pandemic that we faced in a long time?
Hands-on skills are hard to teach without the hands-on, but through Coordinate Grid, we still have students. I mean, we're still meeting a need. West Valley School District alone needed 300 plexiglass barriers to keep our frontline workers safe, and our students were able to engage in lean manufacturing principles to take one sheet of plexiglass and design the CNC cutout and those X and Ys and lay out that coordinate grid so we can maintain lean manufacturing and not waste plastic. And that's just one of the ways that we're using algebra or manufacturing to teach algebra in a remote learning environment.
So let me get this right. You're using algebra to take a big sheet of plexiglass, cut it down, and cut that plexiglass for all the needs of the high school using high school students to do it.
Junior high school students and high school students.
Oh, that's pretty great. Hey, what would you say to a fellow educator? If there's a fellow educator listening in today about the importance of CTE and how they could get both involved or started in this space, what would be your advice?
I would say that the best way to get going is Core Plus Aerospace. I mean, there's meeting with your businesses, you're finding your reps, there's trying to identify manufacturing needs, and that's a heavy lift and it's really intimidating. But through our partnership with Core Plus Aerospace, it really just laid out the work and those relationships were done, the curriculum was done, and we were ready to go, ready to adopt and move forward. And then the next adoption would move into a registered apprenticeship for your high school students. Students need those on-the-job skills.
You mentioned junior high. Talk about how important it is to reach down into those early grades early and capture the imagination of young people, whether it's disadvantaged boys or girls, and bringing them through the talent pipeline to be interested about careers in manufacturing.
So Junior Achievement did a research project, and they found that students begin losing interest in school in 5th grade. And that's when interest starts to fall. And when you start hitting high school, a lot of those students have already spent 4 years with absolutely no interest in why they're attending school. Using manufacturing, connecting students early reinvigorates them. It lets them find a purpose and it lets them find their why. And that's why we're here. We all want to know our why. Why wouldn't we help our students find their why? So as I said, it's not about exciting students about manufacturing. It's how can manufacturing excite your students about English, math, science, in our case, algebra.
So well said. Hey, share a few minutes, if you would, about your partnership engagement with employers. How do you bring them in and engage with them as you talk about careers, talk about curriculum and all?
This shop here itself was designed by West Valley Registered Apprenticeship Partners. So we moved into a registered apprenticeship program where employers hire our students. They get the applications, they employ, they hire. And when we were launching our junior high school manufacturing shop, those same employers came in and helped us lay out our shop so that way it resembled what they were doing in their manufacturing facilities. So our employers are Magic Metals in Yakima, Cub Crafters Aerospace, Triumph Actuation Systems, Pexco Aerospace, and Rankin Agricultural Equipment. So just to name a few. And those employers, it really becomes full circle. As we start providing new employees with high-level skills, with a level of creativity, they helped us design our facility space to resemble their spaces.
Well, just let me thank you for your leadership, your passion to young people, your passion about manufacturing, and a way to use manufacturing as a way to excite people about the careers and opportunities of tomorrow. Thank you for joining us. You've got a great program in Yakima, certainly a beacon of pride. Thank you, Director Nesmith.
Thank you.
Well, folks, we're just getting started, and I'd like to take a moment to thank our great partners and sponsors for making today's program possible. Thank you to our friends at Walmart, Boeing, Avista Corporation, and UPS. Here at Clover Park, there are several ways for students to explore a career in manufacturing. One unique program in particular is gaining traction and helping to keep people safe. Take a quick look.
My mother was a tile setter and she owned her own company, and my father was a union electrician. All my life I grew up in a trade. I grew up working. I enjoy being able to use my hands, use my mind, and do something that not a lot of women do. I came across this program at Clover Park for non-destructive testing, and I thought that that would be a good place to start.
Non-destructive testing is a way in which we determine the structural integrity of a part without harming it. So if you cross a bridge, the bridge isn't open to traffic until non-destructive testing blesses off all the welds, refineries, nuclear power, cars, trains, boats, submarines. NDT is buried all throughout those manufacturing processes. People don't realize that non-destructive testing really is an intimate part of their lives.
It's to protect people. You want to make sure that whatever parts you have that are in service are not going to fail. I graduated the program. I went and worked for a contractor for the Navy, and they really enjoyed that I had this background in non-destructive testing. I think that that was probably one of the smartest decisions that I could have made.
We are the only NDT program in Washington State. We have students being hired before they're even graduated. There's a huge global demand for non-destructive testing, not just the U.S.
The program is expanding, which is awesome. This is something that is needed in Washington State because there's a huge demand for it.
When it comes to Clover Park, we try to mimic what they're going to see out there. The labs now, that's where the hands-on comes in. That's where you truly start learning. We've gotten a lot of amazing feedback from major players on how well-trained and prepared these students are, and it comes from that experience.
Before I got into this program, I always looked at things from the perspective of the worker. Now I kind of look at things with a more investigative eye. I've learned to be patient in this line of work, and I think being a woman in this is challenging, but it's also rewarding. You don't have to lose who you are in order to do this line of work. You can still be you. You can be intelligent, you can work hard, and you can have fun. I think this is going to be a good career.
There are hundreds of stories and success stories coming out of programs just like this all throughout the state of Washington. Joining us this morning here live is Katie Pipe, a former student here at Clover Park in their mechatronics program. And as a result of that program, she now works at Motor Controls Corporation as a panel shop expediter. Katie, welcome into Manufacturing Week Live.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hey, talk to us a little bit about your experience here at Clover Park, the degree you got, and maybe kind of the degree you're working towards as well.
Sure. So I started in about 2017 with my associates in mechatronics, and I kind of stumbled into it. I was looking for something to do. I didn't know which direction to go to, and my passion was working on cars and working with my hands. So I figured mechatronics, I get to work on electrical, mechanical, programming, I get to do all these different things. So I went for it. And this program, the associate's degree is fantastic. Carl and Jason are great instructors, and I was really happy with the outcome. And I'm so happy that I'm now part of their first ever Bachelor's of Science in Mechatronics Engineering Technology. Super excited to be back here, super excited to be in this building, and super excited to learn again.
This is a really cool building. Brand new when you were here, correct?
Yeah, actually, it was brand new and it just opened just as I graduated from my associate's degree. So once we get to come back a little bit more normal, I get to be in this brand new building now.
What would you share to other young students that might be coming here, or students like yourself, about a career and a job in manufacturing?
So the one main thing about manufacturing is the diversity of it. If you're into mechanical, if you're into electrical, if you're into software programming, if you're into working with your hands, blueprinting, building things, you could do anything you want in manufacturing. There's hundreds of directions to go into, and you just have to pick one.
You talked about working on cars before.
Yes.
Was that the springboard to a career in manufacturing, or how did you get interested kind of in this space?
Yeah, I was, like I said, I didn't know what to do with my life. I mean, there was so many different career opportunities out there, but I just could not pick one that I was truly happy with. So I went down to the basics, like, what do I like? I like working on my cars. Okay, so that's mechanical, electrical, that's troubleshooting, that's working with my hands. What fits that? Well, there's automotive, but then there's this new thing called manufacturing to me, and it's just this fascinating field that I'm constantly learning in.
So what gets you to jump out of bed in the morning? What drives you about this type of career in manufacturing?
So my career right now is panel shop expediter, but I get to wear many hats at my company at Motors and Controls. I get to test panels, I get to help design them, I get to help coordinate projects, I get to see what other manufacturers are doing with these panels. We have agriculture, we have other manufacturing, we have water jet cutting, we have everything we do out there. So I get to learn a little bit each and every day, and the freedom from this small company is amazing. I get to do so many different things and get to dip my toes into whatever I could do.
You've got a great story about how you got to the job that you had. You met the CEO. Can you share just a little bit about that?
Yes. So I went to the first ever Women in Manufacturing event in Washington State. Fantastic group of people. And it was their inaugural session back in 2019. And we sat at these random tables, just random people, and I was chatting with everyone. And sitting across from me was Kira Castle, the CEO of Motors and Controls, and she recognized my skill set and what I can do with my schooling and what she needed at her company. So we connected after the meeting. I gave her my business card, and she's been a fantastic boss ever since.
Sometimes it is about connections, right?
It is, definitely.
Hey, this building has state-of-the-art equipment throughout it. Were you able to take that experience of working on that state-of-the-art equipment here and take it to your job?
I was. I have experience in so many different things. Now, panel building is a little bit different, but I get to deal with motors, and that's one of the big things we learned here. Power control, AC circuits. Programming has helped some of the customers that have come into the shop, and I got to diagnose and troubleshoot their panels when they were having trouble, and I got them back up and running.
Last thing, what's been the coolest thing about the career so far?
Learning something new every day. It's just so much to learn. I love learning anything. There's something out there that's different about it, and that's just the greatest thing. I hope I'm learning something new every day for the rest of my life.
I think we're in good hands in manufacturing. You want to work with our hands, great drive, great passion, and a desire to learn. Katie, thank you for joining us today. It's been great.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, that was great to spend a few minutes with a passionate student talking about the great and awesome career in manufacturing. In our 3 years of traveling the state, we've seen amazing education and workforce development efforts from every corner of our state. From technical high schools to community colleges and apprenticeship programs, Washington has raised the bar to fill the workforce pipeline, and there are big opportunities here. Manufacturers need to fill 4.6 million jobs by 2028. The NAM Jay Timmons said this morning, so there's lots of opportunity in a diverse set of areas with a diverse set of skills and experience. And here now is a quick look at some of Washington's strongest workforce programs. Welcome back, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the break. If you did like I did, you grabbed a cold, sparkling ice beverage, based in Washington, headquartered company today. In fact, we're going to have a chance to connect with their CEO, Chris Hall, next Thursday to get a behind-the-scenes look at Talking Rain, their company's headquartered in Preston. And now on to the show. Here to help us continue our ever-important conversation around education and workforce, we have Janya Shore, the President and CEO of the state's Community and Technical College System. She oversees 34 community and technical colleges in every corner of the state. They have 363,000 students who receive education from our community and technical colleges in amazing programs like artificial intelligence, computing, and advanced manufacturing, just to name a few. Jan, welcome to the set.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for inviting me. I'm pleased to be here.
It is great to be here on one of your campuses today talking about manufacturing, especially in a state-of-the-art building that's producing such great students and workers like what we just saw with Katie there. Tell us a little bit about the programs that are in high demand today. What is your system telling you about what young people are looking for careers in manufacturing?
Sure. Well, I can tell you about programs that are in high demand across the state system. So our healthcare is really in high demand. IT programs are also in high demand, and advanced manufacturing. Those are our top 3 program areas, and where the top 3 areas where we have enrollments across the college system.
Where do your students typically go after graduation?
Well, so we have, we're comprehensive institutions, so 45% of our students are enrolled in workforce education programs. Those students go directly to work after they graduate. 35% of our students are in academic transfer programs, and they transfer to universities to complete upper division coursework to earn bachelor's degrees. And about 10% of our students are enrolled for basic skills for high school completion in English as a second language. And those students are either already working or they transition into our workforce or academic transfer programs.
You know, this is unfair for me to ask this because we do so much together, which is, can you share a little bit about how hard your colleges work with the private sector to work in partnership about providing a skilled, trained workforce and looking at training and equipment partnerships and customized training?
Absolutely. So I'm very proud of the partnerships, the long-standing partnerships that our colleges and our college system have had with employers. So you heard Claire talk earlier about the programs here in this building and how employers are engaged with those programs. So we have every one of our technical programs across the 34 institutions has an advisory committee made up of employers and employees who provide feedback to the college, to the faculty about the curriculum, what's in the curriculum, some changes that are happening out in the workplace, and also, provide support for programs by providing on-site tours, guest lectures, equipment donations, internships for students, etc. So those relationships with local employers are an essential component of keeping our programs relevant and modern, and meeting the needs of students to go out and get jobs in the current labor market. So, altogether, we estimate that there are about 2,000 employers across the state who are engaged with our professional technical programs. So we're very proud of that. There are other areas where we have employer partnerships through programs. So the Job Skills Program is one example of a pool of funds that we have that provide matching funds to employers to provide upskill training for their current workers, so that if they're shifting their manufacturing processes, their business processes, they have a little support from the state through the State Board for Community and Technical Colleges and their local college to provide some upskill training for their workers and keep their companies vibrant and moving forward in this new economy. We also have a very robust worker retraining program, which we are about to get very active with in this environment. That program is designed to help workers who have been laid off from their jobs and who aren't going to be able to go back to their jobs because their occupational field and industry is shrinking, to be able to go back to college and earn a credential and get a start on a new career pathway. And of course we have lots of great partnerships with AWB. So over the years, I think we have experimented with lots of ways in which we can promote the notion of partnerships between employers and colleges, training partnerships. And I think the newest thing that we are working on together is an internship portal, so that employers and students, it's like an online matchmaking service for employers and for students to be able to get some work experience either while they're going to school or during the summer. So that is just getting launched, and I'm very excited about the prospect of that relationship building over this next year.
We're equally excited as that, and as you mentioned, we're going to pilot this in 2 communities, Spokane and the Tri-Cities, starting this fall. As we look ahead, can you talk about a little bit about some of the programs that some of the colleges are putting together for the careers of tomorrow? We've heard today at Clover Park about their mechatronics program and its and how it's growing. Can you talk about some of the programs that some of the colleges are looking at bringing that might be new programs?
Sure. So I think advanced manufacturing is one of the areas that's really been growing, and that growth is accelerating. What we know from the last recession is that that business processes change, that the trend towards technology, artificial intelligence, automation, that those trends accelerate out in the workforce. And so we have to redesign our programs to accommodate those increasing trends. That means that the demand for skilled workers goes up during and after a recession like the period that we're in now. So our colleges are working on redesigning curricula, redesigning programs to reflect those changes, to put more emphasis on automation and more emphasis on information technology and the use of technology in business and manufacturing processes.
I think it's pretty special to talk about the capacity of the system. 360,000 students have an opportunity to get their education at a community or technical college in our state. Jan, thank you for being with us. I want to thank you for your partnership. I want to thank you for your commitment to work together on these exciting programs like this workforce portal that we're rolling out this summer. We're fortunate for the partnership, and thank you for helping us get here to Clover Park today as well.
Yeah, thank you for your leadership, Chris.
Thank you, Jan. Well, everyone, thank you for joining us so far. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but stay tuned for Pierce County Executive Bruce Dammeier, followed by Representative Monica Stonier and Mari Leavitt, and a panel discussion with workforce experts coming up. We'll see you back here shortly.
Premera Blue Cross is in your corner, wherever it may be. We're there for you at the corner of hustle and bustle, providing health plans for the most innovative companies in a region that's booming. We're also in the corners of places that aren't measured by size to ensure rural communities are well cared for too. We're in your corner for the bumps in the road and the long roads ahead, partnering with Seattle Cancer Care Alliance to have Premera people on site. We're in your corner the exact moment you need us, and when a whole community's in need, investing millions to fund mental health services and fight teenage homelessness. Premera is in these corners, and these corners, every day, working hard to make healthcare work better. We're Premera Blue Cross, and we're always in your corner.
Life is different these days, but that's not stopping us from living. Like spending quality time with family, supporting local small businesses, and doing what's right to keep each other safe. At U.S. Bank, we're doing our part to turn words into action. We're committed to investing in diverse communities by increasing grants and capital to support small businesses, housing, and workplace advancement. Together, we can create the momentum for positive change. Learn more at usbank.com/action.
Solis is a medical device technology company. We're focused on the wellness market with treatment of vitamin D deficiency through ultraviolet phototherapy. This is a very competitive labor environment, and so we really need to make sure that we attract high-end talent. Having a competitive healthcare package is extremely important. Going with AWB Health Choice, I think, was a good decision for us. It makes us more competitive in the market. Good healthcare is good business.
Alafia works to alleviate poverty and promote gender equality. We do that through the fair trade of sustainable resources in West Africa.
Private enterprise alleviates poverty.
Using a business to make money to help other people.
Our mission is heavily impacted by excessive regulations or taxation. And when business is difficult, it means that you can't grow, and you can't grow means you can't hire people. We believe that every human being deserves to have an opportunity.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to day one of the AWB 2020 Manufacturing Tour. We're here in Pierce County today, a manufacturing powerhouse for the state of Washington. In fact, in the first quarter of 2020, there were 17,000 manufacturing jobs right here with an average salary of $65,000 per year. Pacific Custom Cable, Far West Aircraft, and Travel Chair are just some of the many innovative employers that call Pierce County home. And here to join us today to talk more about why Pierce County is a powerhouse in manufacturing is the County Executive, Bruce Dammeier. Bruce, welcome on in.
You bet. Thank you, Chris. Welcome to Pierce County. Glad to have you here.
We are great to be here. Hey, tell us, why is Pierce County a powerhouse for manufacturing?
Well, I think for a couple of reasons. First of all, we've got a huge base of manufacturers here, over 600 firms. And I think we've got people who enjoy creating things, who know the value of that, and know that it takes tenacity, it takes innovation, it takes problem solving to make it work. You know, my family's been in printing about a mile from here right now since 1934, so I know a lot about manufacturing, and I know that technologies come, processes come and go, products come and go, but it's the people that make the difference. Those are the people that run the machines that make the products that our manufacturing companies sell.
You know, at AWB, we talk a lot about the infrastructure that's really important for manufacturers. Talk about what that infrastructure ecosystem looks like in Pierce County and why, if you're a manufacturer, you should be in Pierce County.
Well, I'd say there's two key partners if you're looking to come to Pierce County and join us. First of all, you need a government that recognizes and values what we do, and I think that's been proven time and time again. We've got a family wage jobs manufacturing credit. We got industrial land zone for that. We've got a streamlined permitting process. And most important, and this is the second key partnership, is we've got a workforce that is ready to go to work and a workforce development center like here at Clover Park Technical College that are ready to help you get the employees you need to make you successful and to make them successful.
You mentioned that workforce is a key element to success for manufacturers. Clover Park Technical College has got a great campus and a state-of-the-art facility here. Are manufacturers able to find the workforce that they need here locally?
You know, absolutely. You know, we've got a world-class suite of manufacturers here in Pierce County. People like Boeing, people like Toray Composites, Niagara Bottling, a whole host of folks. And not only do we have people who are choosing to invest here and come here for what we have to offer, but what I really like it is when existing businesses double down and reinvest and dramatically expand their facilities. People like James Hardy Siding and Carlson Paving Products. It's awesome.
Legislature is going to start in January, and obviously we're all thinking about what recovery looks like. What would be your advice? You're a former legislator, small business owner, elected official. What would be your advice to the legislature as we think about rebuilding this economy?
So one of the things I would look at is we talk about coming out of a COVID-induced recession, right? We got to look at how we're embracing technology, including teleworking. That will be good for Pierce County and allow a lot of people, like technology people, to locate in live in and work in different places like Pierce County. But manufacturing, that is a core industry. Certainly COVID highlighted the fact that we need to have manufacturing on shore to have reliable systems of kind of supply chain. And I hope that they reenact something the governor vetoed last time, and that is a significant reduction in the business and occupation tax penalizing manufacturers. We want more things made in Washington State, and we should reduce that B&O tax rate to encourage more manufacturers to come to Pierce County and build things here.
Well, we know that we are a maker state. We're the most trade-driven state of the 50, so we need to make great products. We need to send them all across the country and all across the globe. Tell us about what you're seeing in the small business space. How are small businesses doing right now in Pierce County?
So small businesses are in a very challenging perspective, right? So we've done a number of things to try to help people get through it. Our business and economic development team has got over $35 million that they're deploying out there to help our businesses get through it and the jobs they provide to Pierce County residents. They've done things like provided 2 million pieces of personal protective equipment. We've got COVID adaptation grants. We've got working capital grants, and we've got a rental and mortgage assistance program. It's all about helping them get through it so they can be there to be there on the other side of this and keep Pierce County rolling.
Yeah, I think it's truly been impressive to watch how manufacturers pivoted to make PPE. We'll talk about that later on in this segment. But manufacturing has been deemed essential this whole time, right? And they're there every day producing everything that we need and everything that we use in our daily lives. You know, I need to give you this chance to say, boy, if you were a manufacturer looking to locate to the state of Washington, why should they come to Pierce County?
Again, Pierce County is a great place. So we not only have a good manufacturing workforce, we have a great construction workforce. So if you want to build a plant here, we can get it up and running quickly, and we can get it staffed with folks who value manufacturing, people like those world-class manufacturers that I've mentioned before. So it's a great place to come, invest in our community, invest in our people, and you won't be disappointed.
Well, you know, as I sit here and think about, you know, education and workforce, we had a great student here earlier today talking about what those career pathways are. I think that has to excite all of us to see people like Katie come out of an institution who's from Tacoma, who wants to be in Pierce County, land a job in Pierce County, and now wants to start a family here in Pierce County. I'm guessing you're seeing a lot of that here.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that we did in Pierce County with our federal CARES Act money, was we gave some money to people like Clover Park Technical College so they could help people who've been displaced by COVID to retool themselves like Katie and take advantage of these great manufacturing jobs here in Pierce County.
Yeah, this has been a really impressive morning so far, just to see the students that come out of Clover Park Technical College, to see the infrastructure that's here at Clover Park Technical College, and then to hear the success stories here in Pierce County. I think it's been really fun for our team to be here. Closing thoughts about manufacturing and Pierce County, if you would.
Well, as I said before, it is an absolute core to who we are. And my family, since 1934, you can look at various manufacturers out at our Frederickson Industrial Complex. You can look at Tool Gauge in downtown Tacoma, or in the Nally Valley. It is throughout Pierce County. We've got people who are builders by nature, both construction and manufacturing, and both of them are ready to go to work to bring more family wage jobs here to Pierce County.
Executive Dammeier, thank you for seeing us. We've seen you a lot on our tours throughout the years. Thank you for having us here in Pierce County.
You bet. Thank you, Chris. We are excited to host you.
Thank you very much. All right, thank you to Executive Dammeier for joining us for our first edition of Manufacturing Live. Now on next to our next set of panel, we're going to hear from Representative Mari Leavitt of the 28th Legislative District, who also serves as the Vice Chair of College and Workforce Development Committee. Representative Leavitt, welcome on into the Manufacturing Week Live. It's great to have you with us today.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Hey, thank you for joining us today. Can you share a little bit about what your committee is working on as it relates to the manufacturing base for Washington's economy?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's an honor to be with you. And it was great to hear the student Katie and for you to be at Clover Park Technical College, which is one of my favorites in Pierce County. And we have some great technical colleges here. I serve as Vice Chair of the College and Workforce Development Committee. And as you know, workforce development is key to our success in our communities across our states, and certainly making sure we have skilled students and workforce programs that prepare for the workforce shortage that you mentioned earlier is really critical to the success of our state and the success of our businesses.
You know, as you think about your role at the state, what can we be doing to excite more young people about careers in manufacturing?
Absolutely. You know, I think we've gone away from career and technical education, and I think that that was a mistake because there are so many wonderful pathways. Not every student is destined to have or interested in a baccalaureate pathway, and we need really strong career and technical education programs in urban areas and in rural areas to meet that workforce shortage. Also, our skill sets of our youth are different and they're diverse and disparate, and we want to make sure that we have those critical programs so that our students can go on and be successful regardless of what their interests are or their talent, and also make sure that they're able to take care of their families. And there are great family wage jobs in the manufacturing industry, and we need to do more to encourage our K through 12 system to expand those programs. I think we've made some progress, and also in our dual enrollment programs, allowing students to be able to get reimbursed or get some of the cost of some of these programs tend to be a higher cost, and make sure that they're able to get financial aid for those programs, I think is critical.
As you look at the community and technical college system, what are some of the challenges that you see that face it as it relates to the state budget and going into the next session?
Right. So I think the strength of our community and technical college system, and by the way, Washington State has one of the strongest community technical college system in the union. And the strength is they're flexible and nimble to adapt to industry needs. And so, for example, during COVID, they were able to ramp up some of their programs to get workforce and get our workers out and graduate from their programs during COVID when there was a significant need. And so making sure those programs are strong and they're available and accessible across our state, I think is really important. And we know that we can do that. There is interest across our state to hire workers. You heard Executive Dammeier talk about Pierce County is a great place, so please come to Pierce County as I represent the 28th. But you know, there are great jobs out there, and we need the talent and the skill set, and we have to train them, and especially in a recession that we're going into and such budget challenges. The community and technical college system, their budget never got back from 2008. They still are, you know, clawing their way back, and we need to make sure that we keep these programs whole across our state and expand those programs so that we have access for students who are going to need, out of necessity, who have lost their jobs, are going to need retraining, and they need to have access to those critical programs in order to meet that demand.
I think Pierce County has shown really, really well today, from our faculty here at Clover Park to the students to Executive Dammeier and yourself. This has been a Pierce County day, and the sun's come out here. The fog is lifted. Hey,
absolutely.
Let's maybe flip that on its head there a little bit. We talked about the challenges. Share with us some of the opportunities that you see for the system here.
Absolutely. So I mentioned earlier that our community and technical college system is flexible and nimble. And so opportunities to make sure that we're giving those manufacturers who are employing students or doing some customized training to get tax incentives to make sure that they're expanding those options for our students and expanding those placement opportunities is critical. And then making sure that we're, you know, continuing to, the strength is partnering with industry. You know, many of manufacturing programs have advisory boards that are from industry, that are people who do the job and know the job and are training their students to make sure that they're meeting those standards and they're able to excel. And so I think that's incredible strength of our system, and we need to continue to incentivize those, and also, you know, recognize and celebrate our manufacturing employers who are willing to take on folks in apprenticeship programs and expand those opportunities for our students and their families.
What would be your message to students? We've talked a lot about them today, about, you know, some great careers that are out there right here in Pierce County. Nearly 20,000 men and women working in a manufacturing-related job, average wage of $65,000 a year. What would be some of the messages you would share with a young person that is listening in today?
Absolutely, and I would share this with a young person and a worker who's about to be retrained, similar. But for a young person in a K through 12 system, I would say, you know, if you're not finding those programs that you're interested in, push the school districts, push the career development directors, find your skill center across. We have a great Pierce County Skills Center that focuses on manufacturing jobs and opportunities and different pathways. So really make sure that your interest is shared with your school district. And if they don't have a program or they're not providing the kind of opportunities, then push them to get those, because we as a state need to expand these really important programs, and we need to hear from students and their families that the interest is there, because we know the industry is ready to match that and to help those students and those families excel.
Closing question here before we wrap up this segment. Talk about how proud maybe and how important Clover Park Technical College is to the employer community here and the pathway opportunities for education and learning.
Absolutely. Clover Park Technical College is held up as one of our best, as well as Bates Technical College, who also, we have 2 of the 5 technical colleges in Pierce County, and their programs are nationally known. They've won awards and because of their flexibility and because of their innovation. And they look at industry and they see, where can we partner together and how can we work together to graduate students to meet our attainment goal. There's a 70% attainment goal in Washington State, and we want to meet that because we know that anyone with some form of post-secondary education, whether it's a certificate or a trade, are more likely to be able to sustain themselves and sustain their families and thereby their communities. So Clover Park is a tremendous partner and is nationally known for the great work that they do, and they're so important to our community.
Representative Leavitt, thank you so much for joining us today. We've had a great morning talking all things Pierce County, workforce, and manufacturing. Be safe out there.
Thank you so much, Chris. Take care.
Before we transition to our next discussion, and we're excited to bring in this next group of people and continue the great theme and conversation we've had this morning around manufacturing and workforce and opportunities here in Pierce County, I want to again thank our Manufacturing Week 2020 presenting sponsor, Premera Blue Cross. We appreciate Premera joining us, being in the corner for manufacturers and thousands of manufacturers all across the state of Washington, just like AWB is. Now we're going to talk to a panel of experts who can speak to how we can continue to drive world-class workforce to power our state's important manufacturing sector. Joining us by Zoom, we will have Bill George, Director of Workforce Development at Skills, Inc. We had a chance to see him recently in our prior tours. Lynn Strickland, Executive Director of the Aerospace Joint Apprenticeship Committee. By the way, she won last year's Manufacturing of the Year award. And Natalie Puschel, a training program specialist with SEH America. And Natalie, we had a chance to see you last year on the manufacturing tour. So to all of you, welcome into Manufacturing Week Live. Let's get started. Lynn, I'm going to go to you first. I want to start with you and ask you, how have apprenticeships changed during this COVID period of time? How are they being delivered differently? What has been the experience like? What are people sharing with you, Lynn?
So first of all, thank you, Chris and AWB and all the sponsors for continuing to highlight the diversity of manufacturing in the state of Washington. What I would say probably as apprenticeship as a whole, what we're working with and dealing with is how do we continue to provide that classroom instruction different than what we've done in person. How do we continue to ensure the safe on-the-job training, as well as working with apprentices, just like other workers who have been laid off during this time. So I think overall there's that general challenge that has been issued to apprenticeship. But apprenticeship has had to adjust just like K through 12 in our community and technical colleges and other education and training partners. And to be able to find ways to continue the education and training, because we have to maintain the skilled workforce. And that's important not only during this time, but also as we get through this time and production ramps back up. So it's essential as a state that we continue to use all of our workforce development levers to be able to increase our workforce, sustain our workforce, and remain competitive. So some of the things specific to Ajax and that we've done and changed over the last 6 months, that is not just us, but we see a lot of other apprenticeship programs tackling, is one that we've had to convert all of our classes to online. And apprenticeship tends to attract people who learn better by doing. So that's a challenge. I mean, we have hands-on in the classroom as well as, a lot of the on-the-job training that happens in apprenticeship. So with 7% of the education happening in the classroom, we have had to convert that. But we've also, as we've converted those classes online, we have to keep in mind the type of learners that we have. So we have been creative in how we deploy that with our apprentices, but what we've also been conscious of is making sure that all of our apprentices have equitable access to the online portion of the training. So especially in rural areas. So either we provide them or help them with the technology or connect them with individuals that have those resources so they can continue in the education and training. One of the other things that we're doing is 93% of apprenticeship happens on the job under a skilled mentor. And so we have seen with apprentices, just like individuals in the other workforce, in the workforce, that they're being laid off too. But at the same time, we have employers that are still hiring. So we're taking those apprentices who have been laid off and connecting them with employers that are still hiring, but also at the same time, and if an apprentice tends to lose his or her job, we allow them to continue the educational part of that training and continue to help to connect them with employment as we can. So one of the things for Ajax, I know that we have been doing is diversifying our employer training agent partnership. So, and that has been important for us because many of the 11 apprenticeship programs that we train to cross multiple industries. So we've been working really hard to get connected with other employers, and now we work with employers not just in aerospace, but also biomedical, defense industries, food processing, manufacturing itself, as well as space. So that diversification has helped us to be able to move apprentices that are gaining these skills that cross multiple industries to be able to move them around within different industries within the state of Washington. And then lastly, we've continued to offer our key programs. So our apprenticeship programs are still going on. Our 2 youth and apprenticeship programs are still going on, and these are statewide. And we've also worked with K through 12, like Chris. I saw him, Chris Naismith, I saw him a little bit earlier, working with him and his staff and other instructors and administrators to be able to ensure that the students that are in the youth and apprenticeship program are able to continue. We continue to provide our AMP, or Advanced Manufacturing Program, which is a 1 to 2 day for people who are considering advanced manufacturing industries, letting them know about career progression pathways, and skills that they're going to need. And also our pre-apprenticeship program, which is Manufacturing Academy. And we've also converted that to online. And the benefit of that is that as people are unemployed and they're looking to maybe transition from one industry to another, we are able to provide that online training for people who are in Yakima and Seattle all in one class. So that really has helped. So, if your employer's out there and you're looking to add apprenticeship to your workforce development portfolio, I have to say this, my marketing guy will kill me if I don't. Visit www.ajactraining.org. And just remember that tough times, they come, but they also go. So as much as we can partner with one another here to develop this workforce, our workforce, I think that we're going to be, better off. We're reimagining ourselves. We're reinventing ourselves during these times. So, Chris, I can continue to talk, but I'll just stop right there.
Thanks, Lynn. Great to see you. I wish it was in person, not via Zoom.
Right.
Up next is Bill. Bill, we had a chance to stop by and see your amazing facility last year. Can you share a little bit about the programs that you have there and how they've been impacted during COVID as well?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Skills Inc. is a self-supported nonprofit social enterprise that employs people of all abilities in aerospace manufacturing, aerospace finishing, technical services, and business solutions. Our fully integrated, inclusive workforce is comprised of individuals with and without disabilities working side by side throughout all 4 lines of our business. We accomplish our social mission in 3 primary ways. First, we provide competitive wage jobs in aerospace manufacturing. Between 50 and 60% of our workforce are persons who have a self-identified disability, including individuals at every level of the organization. Second, we offer programs and services such as customized employment, which matches part-time employees with specific business needs. Vocational services that provides training, mentoring, and job development support to individuals wanting to enter or return to the workforce. And our aerospace internship program, which gives high school students with individual education plans an opportunity to gain vocational and work readiness skills, which helps them graduate from high school and facilitate their transition into the world of work. Thirdly, we serve as a role model of inclusiveness in the community. This year, Skills Aerospace Internship Program was fortunate to be nominated for the AWB's Connect Award, recognizing the significant business community connection this program has contributed for 19 years. So pivoting now to the changes we've seen in the past year, as an aerospace industry supplier, we've been through a bit of a perfect storm during the past 12 months, with the grounding of an entire aircraft model, further impacted by a global pandemic that resulted in perhaps the most significant global downturn in the history of the commercial airline industry. Although we've seen both our revenues and our workforce diminish by 50%, we're continuing to operate effectively at lower production levels, and we do expect a slow and steady climb out in time to levels at or above what we experienced before COVID. But like most businesses, we've had to be a bit creative and adapt to the changes that have confronted us. We've had to lean out our processes, we wear multiple hats, and we make do with less. But we recognize that much of what we're experiencing will in fact make us stronger in the long run. Because we have an inclusive culture, we continue to seek input from our employees on what's working, what's not working, and then making the adjustments we need to make. Our employees trust that we'll be open and forthcoming, treating everyone fairly and equitably along the way. One example of how we've had to adapt is, as was mentioned earlier, with our aerospace internship program, we've had to move to an entirely different format. Our standard approach of one-on-one in-person mentoring had to be modified to fit a distance learning format. And this would allow us to have multiple students online at once. So we've deployed live cameras as well as video recording equipment to deliver instructional content via Google Classroom during the instructional time the students would have been on site. And then our mentors become subject matter experts to assist with delivering the content. So overall, we feel fortunate as a company to provide essential services within the industry while continuing to serve the community and the needs of our employees.
Thank you, Bill. Again, it was a real privilege and honor for us, for you to share your facility with us and to allow us in last year. It was great to see your company up close and personal. Natalie, going to you, we too had a chance, I think you kicked us off last year, maybe even on day one.
I think we did, yeah.
I think you were day one there. Share with us a little bit about the internship program that you're doing at SEH. It's different, it's successful, but take a few minutes if you would.
Sure, so SEH America is a high-tech manufacturer, so we have about 1,000 employees, and we're in Southwest Washington. And I just want to kick off by saying thank you so much for having us here. We really appreciate the work that AWB does promoting manufacturing in the state of Washington. We do have high school internship program, and we have been doing high school internships for about 9 years now. And we've hired about 1/3 of our former high school interns. So it's been a really great way to give students a supportive network of adults, some good concrete hands-on learning experiences to put on their resume, and more information about what jobs in manufacturing really are. What do they look like? Why is this a good career for me? So yeah, COVID has made it challenging. We can't have high school students on site. Most of our high schools in Southwest Washington are doing distance learning right now. So we've had to really be creative and think outside the box and really go back to what is the goal of this program? What are we trying to accomplish? And can we get the same results in a different format? We remain really committed to helping young people get these experiences. And so we really tried to think outside the box and try to figure out a way to keep supporting them. And it's not easy because manufacturing, as Lynn said, is very hands-on. It's doing stuff with your hands. And how do you do that if you can't have people on site? So we're doing distance internships. We had our first very small group over the summer, and man, it was challenging. It's not the same. We learned a lot about what works and what doesn't work, but we're having our second group actually starting next week doing distance internships with SEH America. So that we've kept the core components of they have some sort of project to dig into. They get a lot of work with a mentor. They get to meet different people who have different jobs working at SEH. This time it's just through a computer screen and not actually being on site. But we're hoping that we'll still be able to get young people excited about manufacturing, get them something concrete to add to their resume, and really get them a lot of support. So when they graduate high school, if they want to pursue a job in manufacturing, they'll be able to do so.
All right, this is our very brief round robin section of this, so like 20-second answers here. Let's start with Natalie. We'll go Natalie, Bill, and then Lynn on this. Natalie, why should a young person get excited about working in manufacturing and come to your company?
It's just such a cool environment. I have to say, walking down the hallway, you can hear robots, and there's a wide variety of types of environments in our company. From if you want to really get dirty and go into machines, there's that option, to clean room suits. So there's such a wide variety of careers. It's interesting. You get to use your minds. It's not sitting at a desk all day, and there's a lot of growth opportunities.
Bill?
Well, the program kind of sells itself. As we've heard, there's many students out there that like to work with their hands. Not everyone's destined for the type of four-year degree that many high schools are geared for. So to have a program that allows them to apply what they're learning each day, hopefully when we return to being on site, but in the meantime, they can virtually still get understanding of the types of things they might be able to experience eventually in manufacturing, and learn how to apply what they're picking up in school in a real environment.
Thank you, Bill. And Natalie? I'm sorry, Lynn?
So what we would like to do is connect, whether they're students or individuals, to great companies like Bill's over at Skills Inc. or Natalie down at SCH. I mean, manufacturing, the great thing about manufacturing is that it's not just one thing, and it crosses multiple industries. You have aerospace, like I mentioned before. You have space. It's cool to manufacture stuff for space, right? You know, and food processing. We all like to eat, at least I know I do, but there's more automation that's happening in manufacturing and food processing. So the key takeaway, I would say, for individuals and students is that, you know, manufacturing is diverse. It's not just one thing. And there are some great companies out there, like we're hearing from today, that are looking for individuals. So, you know, and apprenticeship can be a means by which to increase your skill level and your education at the same time. So there you have it.
You three have such great and excellent programs. I wish we had 30 more minutes to go through this. Lynn, you had a great comment about we learn better by doing. And I think that really speaks to the hands-on nature of working with your hands. And you heard our student, Katie, this morning talk just about that. Lynn, Natalie, and Bill, thank you for being with us. Be safe out there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now we're going to continue our conversation on how to build a stronger workforce with another one of our state's leading workforce experts. And with us today, right down in Vancouver, right where Natalie was by, is Representative Monica Stonier, the House Majority Floor Leader in the Washington State Legislature. Representative Stonier is from the 49th Legislative District in Clark County, where she also works as an instructional coach at Evergreen Public Schools in Vancouver. Representative Stonier, welcome on into today's day one of our 2020 Manufacturing Week.
Thank you so much, Chris. It's great to be here.
Hey, let's get started by talking about what is the plan to address worker retraining in our state. As you think about skills that are needed, the jobs that are needed for tomorrow, what are your thoughts about how we go through that as we enter and then hopefully get through COVID-19?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's real important to continue doing what has been successful in the past, like paying attention to where the workforce is going. Right now, you just mentioned COVID, so the discussion that we see in the healthcare realm, in the higher ed, the small business, and the education realm is how well are people connected. And so if we think about what is it that government is expected to provide, then a lot of that infrastructure is part of that. And I think that we're going to start to see broadband part of that infrastructure that really needs to be included. So thinking about, you know, where is the workforce headed, what is needed, and then preparing and connecting with our economic development councils to make sure we know what kind of jobs are coming into the region and what training would be needed. I think you just talked to Natalie from our region here at SCH America, one of the best success stories we have in this realm, coming straight from Southwest Washington. And I think that's a really good example of looking at where the workforce is headed and how we bring education and business up behind to develop a plan for that.
Well, we'll be in Southwest Washington. This is a selfish plug next Wednesday, talking about trade. Only appropriate that we be down there on the mouth of the Columbia River talking about trade. Hey, how can the K-12 system work to provide multiple pathways for young people to their secondary and post-secondary goals?
Yeah, I think, again, the SEH model is one that we want to expand into more, into different industries, right? So if we think about the biotech manufacturing that's happening here in Southwest Washington, top-notch manufacturing that we know is going to be needed across the country and beyond, investing in that and bringing those experiences to the classroom, or bringing students to that environment so they can see the cool stuff that is that their minds are needed for. That's a huge part of it. Additionally, I think we've got to engage our kids earlier, before they're thinking about their high school graduation day, to be exposed to industry across the board. Here in the area, we renamed our skill center to be called the Tech Academy, to really understand that manufacturing moving forward is more of a tech realm than it has been in the past, and is also more engaging for students. So finding them in 4th, 5th grade and 7th and 8th grade, and involving them in the industry that is represented in their community, helps them see the jobs that are right there in their neighborhoods, but also might expose them to some fields that they maybe would have never considered getting engaged in. So early exposure and making sure that our graduation pathways are options for kids that, as they move forward towards that graduation and beyond.
You know, Vancouver's going through some really impressive growth right now. Number of manufacturing companies being located in Clark County. Can you talk about maybe amplifying a little bit about Natalie's work around internships? How is the K-12 system encouraging young people to get that kind of hands-on experience and be exposed to the pathways for job opportunities of tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, I've been an educator. I've been a middle school teacher. I've been working with kids for my professional career here outside of the legislature. And the one thing that I always say is, what case are we making to kids that we are asking them to do stuff that is worthy of their time and of their interest? And when we can tell kids, you're gonna earn graduation credits, also learning how to be an employee, how to be a manager. At SEH America, they have students peer model and leading management teams for other students. So they're learning management skills in the work environment. And you heard Natalie say they hire sometimes 30% of the kids that come through there. So they've really invested in the workforce that's in the backyard. And I think if we can expand that model to other areas, I've talked with folks that have had students come in working in an optometrist office, for example, and learning the business there. So if we can make the case to students that they're going to get high school graduation credit while also learning how to make learning the job skills they need to be independent and employable in the community, I think we can make great strides. I'm just thinking of the Christensen Shipyard here in the area is now Vigor Industries, right? Manufacturing gigantic equipment and landing equipment for the U.S. Army. And when students have an opportunity to see that work environment and see the job opportunities that are there, I think they're going to be more engaged in the work we're asking them to do that helps get them to that place. And those job skills are transferable to other industries. So whether we end up hiring them here in the neighborhood or not, they're going to be better equipped Washingtonians after.
No doubt, I think Clark County has a very active public-private partnership around career pathways. SEH America is a great example of that, thanks to the leadership of Natalie and Ben Begapore over there, and to the hard work of Ted over your STEM operator there as well. So lots of great opportunities going on in Clark County. We look forward to highlighting some of them next Wednesday when we're in your neck of the woods. Representative Stonier, thank you so much for joining us today. Be safe out there.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, everyone, thank you for staying with us. We're going to take a short commercial break, and we'll be back shortly.
When others feared what was to come, you saw a sliver of light, opportunity. And while some tried to go back, you're going all in, rethinking, reinventing, smashing through new barriers and old fears. And we're right there with you, in the trenches, still grinding, still climbing, as you rally and rise. You are the one who can make this whole world turn. So be bold, Be brave. Be unstoppable.
At Travel Cheer, we do camp chairs, and we're all about getting people outside and making their experience more enjoyable and comfortable. We really want to take care of our staff, and we want a good work-life balance, and part of that for us was being able to offer them health care. By far, AWB offered much better health insurance through Premera than the other companies did, and at a better rate.
Our cranes are used in virtually every industry you can think of.
Some of our biggest work is with our proprietary product, the Lamson TransiLift.
Lamson employs about 120 people here in Washington State.
We firmly believe in giving back into our community.
Things that happen right here in Washington State can make us less or more competitive.
We understand the need for regulation within Washington State, but that regulation needs to be streamlined. You need to be able to react quickly to your customers because that saves them time and money.
Welcome on back, everyone. We're so glad to have you on day one of our AWB 2020 Manufacturing Tour, live from Clover Park Technical College. I want to thank again our outstanding sponsors who helped make this week and next week possible, our friends at Walmart and Boeing for making today's show possible, and of course, we certainly couldn't do this without the support of our title sponsor, Premera Blue Cross. Today, we're joined by Bill Akers, the president for Eastern Washington and the senior vice president for the Washington Group Market. Bill, welcome on into Manufacturing Week. I want to start by saying thank you for helping to make this week possible. We're so excited to be partnering with you to be in the corner of manufacturers here and all across our state. Welcome on in, Bill.
Hi, Chris. How are you today?
We're doing well. Thank you very much. And thank you for helping to make this week possible to celebrate the great work being done by manufacturers all throughout Washington. Hey, let's spend a few minutes talking about some of the new health clinics that Premera is doing. This is a pretty exciting announcement, pretty exciting effort.
It is exciting, and we're really happy to be going down this path, Chris. In January of this year, which seems like 5 years ago, we opened our first clinic in Spokane, the Vivacity Care Center, and shortly we're going to have 4 clinics. And Spokane is not unlike a lot of communities around the state in that they have access issues for primary care. And for us, we wanted to get into that battle and try to solve that problem for some of our customers. We also think that in general, healthcare battles all sorts of just tough conditions. One of them being that people don't often get the care that they need, and too often they get care that they don't need, which can be sometimes harmful and certainly wasteful. And that the experience isn't what they want to have, and the cost is exorbitant. So we thought we needed to get closer to that problem, and this start of our Vivacity Care Centers is really an opportunity for us to try and get closer to those issues and try to ease some of those friction points that people have as they encounter the healthcare system.
In addition to the clinics during COVID, I understand you've been focused on interoperability in healthcare, which basically means making sure the systems can all talk to each other during this period of time. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, you know, everybody in the system has data, and data is to some degree a currency. But what I would tell you is that I think generally in healthcare, we've not combined and leveraged that information in the data so that the best patient experience and at that point of care, the practitioner can have as much information as possible about that patient to make the best diagnosis and set a path forward. So it's really important that we pull all this information together now more than ever to try and streamline that and give practitioners all the information they need. And aside from clinical decision making, it also affords us some opportunities in terms of administrative efficiencies. You think about things like medical record reviews and prior authorizations and how we identify care gaps and help practitioners close those care gaps for people. A lot of that work can be done just a lot more quickly and a lot more efficiently by having the systems able to interact with each other.
Certainly one of the things COVID's taught us is that we're all using technology different today. Can you talk a little bit about how you're expanding technology to help play an important role for all of us that are on Premera?
Yeah, that's a great question, Chris. And as we all know, in a lot of different ways, March changed our lives forever. And certainly in the delivery of care, when we went months where we really were limited in terms of in-person care that was able to be offered, we had to shift quickly. There are lots of people that could not wait that long for care, that needed support, needed services. And we were able to double down and expand our virtual care services. And by virtual, I mean it could be chat, it could be text, it could be video, it could be phone. A number of different modalities, but ways for people to still have access to care during that time. Just as a data point for you to show how dramatic that change was, in January, Premera had somewhere around 1,700 virtual care visits. By April, we had nearly 100,000 virtual care visits. One of the bright points about that, Chris, was that a lot of that utilization was in behavioral health, which, as we all know, is an area that we're very concerned about, and I think most people are concerned about, and making sure that during a really trying and stressful time, that people that were in the middle of having an episode or needed continuation of behavioral health services, that didn't fall to the floor. That was really important. And I think Premera did a great job of stepping up to that, and others in the community did as well. For us, the goal of virtual care really, I don't think we're going to go back to the world that we saw prior to February. The traditional bricks and mortar providers and healthcare delivery systems all expanded and developed new capabilities very quickly and rapidly. And I think that they're able to offer things now that they weren't able to offer, let's say, a year ago. And I think they're trying to figure out how to make that business model still work, but it's going to be a field that people are going to compete in. And I think patients are going to be the beneficiaries of that. And whether you're in an urban setting or whether you're in a rural setting, the ease of access for a lot of this virtual care is really important. And it's important for us to make sure that we continue to leverage that technology, and to the degree that we can, that it helps us with the cost issues that face healthcare.
One of the things you mentioned was a thing that I think we're all focused on, which is our employees' mental health. Can you just spend just a few more seconds talking about resources that might be available for Premera customers and how you're dealing with that as a company as well?
Yeah, it's a great point. And all of us, I think we've been challenged as leaders just to try and how we deal with our teams. Premera was a company that very early on, and Chris, you and I have talked about this, we went from a decision that was made on the Premera campus that we needed to send our people home on a Wednesday, and by Monday, we were all remote. It was just a staggering quick turn of events, and thankfully, I think our infrastructure supported that work, and we did a great job in terms of helping people make that transition home. Now that we're 6 months into it, we're finding there's a whole nother wave. And a lot of that wave has to do with people's just response to this continuation of the situation, kids going back to school, people back into trying to multitask between being professionals and being teachers and being parents full-time, and the house is full and whatever. There are a lot of stressors that are out there. So at Premera, we've got a number of different resources. We expanded our behavioral health services and our virtual care services through both Talkspace and Doctor on Demand that are available for people. And we also have substance abuse support through a company called Boulder, and there are others as well. So we know that people are struggling. We know that these times are very stressful in lots of different ways. And we thought it was important that we shore up the access that our members would have to the right services.
Let me thank you for your partnership and support. I wish we were doing this together, Bill, not hundreds of miles apart here, but on set and together. But thank you for your partnership. Thank you for your support to manufacturers, and thank you for making Manufacturing Week 2020 happen. Be safe out there.
Yes, and I just want to say congratulations, Chris, for finding a way to make Manufacturing Week alive. You guys have made a great adjustment this year and keep the tradition going. And we are happy at Premera to be partners with AWB. I think that we do a great job together bringing healthcare coverage to the businesses of Washington. We have 33,000 members in the health plan that we work with AWB on. We have a great team with Deb Brown and those folks at AWB, 3,100 different employers, and over 240 of those are specifically in the manufacturing space. So it's an important thing for us to try and contribute and support Washington business. So thank you for allowing us to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say to any manufacturer who's not on our health care plan yet, call us. We'd be happy to get you on. All right, thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, now we're going to change things up a little bit. As we're all aware, it takes a tremendous amount of energy and raw material to power Washington's manufacturing economy. Aluminum, iron, steel, copper, and all of these materials have to go somewhere when manufactured goods have reached the end of their useful lives. I hope it's not where the staff is sending me after the end of the manufacturing week is over. One family firm is bringing a new life to these raw materials, and that's Sutter Metals, with a brand new, state-of-the-art, cleanest, greenest recycling facility in North America, right here in Pierce County. I'd like to welcome in the company's owner, president, and CEO, Chad Sutter of Sutter Metals, to give us a look. Chad, welcome on in.
Hey, thanks for having me, Chris. I noticed that I noticed my rider didn't get sent to me. I know we're in a virtual green room, but I'm supposed to have a rider. Oh, it didn't get sent. Where?
Check your email.
All right.
Hey, you've got a great story. Tell us how you got into this space, if you would.
So originally my father was in the auto wrecking or used auto parts business. I don't know if many are familiar with that, but it's probably the eyesore that most people see on the side of an industrial area with all the junk cars laying out. But it's actually it actually serves a useful purpose. And I was blessed enough to grow up in that type of a business, and with that business we had a tremendous amount of byproduct that we put into the recycling downstream. And so I came to be very fond of that process of turning non-useful life things into into things that can be repurposed. And so in 2009 I ended up starting my own company and branching off from my father. So
we had a chance to take a tour last week of the state-of-the-art facility and was so impressed with what you're all doing there. And it's clear that you're growing and expanding. Can you talk about just all of the locations you have and the growth of the business?
Yeah, so been incredibly blessed. There's in business, and there's lots of different ways to grow. As business owners and operators, you have a lot of opportunities to source different types of equity, different types of funding, different types of financial partners. With us, we chose to pioneer our own paths, and throughout the last 12 years we've chosen to take an organic approach, and so we were able to self-fund the majority of our growth and expansion. So currently now, this Tacoma facility being our third facility, each one of our facilities is unique in its own way in terms of processes and commodities. But really, we've just chosen to stay the course, be financially prudent, and grow organically into the position that we're at now, which is on a much broader scale, and we're going to continue that growth pattern.
Something I was really impressed with, and we're seeing some B-roll here, is it's one thing to be just a green recycler. It's another thing to take environmental sustainability really important. You happen to talk about meeting your own energy needs by solar panels on your facility now. Can you talk just a little bit about those core values to you around energy and sustainability?
Yeah, I think that when you're looking at a lot of recyclers in the industry and you're trying to understand their footprint and trying to, I think people just see a recycler, or maybe they see a salesperson that comes out and interacts with them, and maybe they don't understand a lot about the company. Maybe they don't understand the commitment to the environment that the company is or is not taking. And so for us, we wanted that to be very visible, and we wanted people to understand that our business model is not just about making money in the recycling business. Our business model is living what the recycling business truly embodies, which is being sustainable. And so part of our process is we intend to take the Amazon pledge as a corporation. We plan to be carbon neutral by 2035. That's something that we're incredibly focused on. We incorporated it into our new facility here in Tacoma with the solar power that we provide to all of our office space here, as well as converting the vehicles that we give out to our employees to electric. We're fully committed to making sure that we are living the model of sustainability becoming carbon neutral by 2035, and really representing what this industry is in terms of being a steward of the environment and protecting all the people here in this community, because Washington has just done such a phenomenal job about representing that, and we want to continue that legacy.
It's obvious that recycling is a critical part of just not only the manufacturing sector, but the DNA of our state. What would be your message to lawmakers about what they could be doing to support your industry, Chad?
You know, lawmakers have such a challenging job because there's so many things that legislators and you know, the lawmakers really need to understand, and they just don't have enough time in the day. My biggest advice to lawmakers about not only my industry, but all of the industries is take the time to get to know your constituents that live in your district. Like, go out, try to understand their challenges, their problems, their facilities, their operations, so that you, when you're going there and you're going onto the Hill every legislative session, you have the app, you are the most informed you can be about the issues and the topics. Because going in and trying to create laws and legislate without the proper education or understanding the challenges that the business owners or the specific industries are having, like, you're doing a disservice. You're doing a disservice to the people in your legislative district, and that's not fair. So they have an incredibly tough challenge ahead of them in order to really learn and see everything that they're making laws around. But that is the number one thing that, like, I can encourage lawmakers is just get out there and spend the time with the businesses in your districts and, you know, show them that you're willing to understand their issues.
Great message, Chad, about inviting legislators in to see companies firsthand, to see their employees and hear their stories. I want to thank you for joining us today, ladies and gentlemen. This is the greenest, newest recycling facility in North America, family-owned person. Chad, thank you for being with us today. It's been great.
Hey, thank you so much for thinking of me and having me, Chris. I appreciate your time.
All right, be safe, Chad. Now it's time to celebrate our PPE heroes, the Washington manufacturers who pivoted early in the pandemic to create personal protective equipment right here in Washington state. Back in March, AWB and the governor called on Washington manufacturers to pivot to make this crucial equipment. This helps our state fight the coronavirus, reopen safely, and save jobs. At this time, I want to thank our PPE hero sponsor, U.S. Bank, for helping to make today's segment possible. Our PPE heroes today are Jennifer and Justin Stiefel, the president, CEO, and co-founders of Heritage Distilling. I have one of their bottles here. No, this is not brown sugar bourbon. Don't get confused with that versus what's in this product, which we'll spend some more time talking about here in a few minutes. This is one of the premier craft distillers in the United States, a major producer also of hand sanitizer for the Puget Sound, and the AWB 2017 Manufacturer of the Year. Jennifer and Justin, welcome on into today's program.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
I'm a little parched after 2.5 hours, Justin, so I'm just telling you here, the hand sanitizer is not going to completely do it for my liquid refreshments here, but talk about how you got into the game. How did you get into producing hand sanitizer? Are you still doing that? How are you balancing that with the other products that you made? Jennifer, Justin, take it away.
Yeah, we jumped into making hand sanitizer really at the request of the customers first, and then just analyzing the needs in the community. If you remember back to March, April, there really was not a lot on the market, and industries and companies, nonprofits, all sorts of groups were looking for it, and we had the equipment and the know-how. And so we jumped in head first, and Jennifer could talk a little about what we did with our partnership with the Chehalis tribe.
Yeah, so we have a new facility that we opened during COVID, actually. It's in this one is in the Chehalis area in Rochester with the Chehalis Indian tribe. And we were able to convert our equipment into making hand sanitizer. Luckily, Justin's has a degree in chemical engineering, and we have a great engineering staff that was able to help us pivot. We call it the hashtag Pivot 2020, and we did that yet again and converted the entire facility into making hand sanitizer. They were going out by the tanker truck, by the tow, by the 5-liter jerry can, as well as bottles and small personalized bottles. So we were able to make that and really have an impact on the community.
I understand plans are underway for you to play an important role in the Tumwater Craft District that's being built by South Puget Sound Community College. Can you talk a little bit about what this is and your role in that?
Sure, and I chose the background today behind me. That's the building design in Tumwater in the Craft District. The portion of the building over my right ear is going to be our distillery side of the building, and the portion over my left side is the South Puget Sound Community College portion. We teamed up with the community college to design this as a kind of a one-stop shop learning for folks who want to get into the brewing and distilling industry. Right now, we don't have any kind of organized distilling training programs in the U.S. through any kind of accredited institutions. And South Puget Sound Community College, with the backdrop of Tumwater Brewery and Olympia Brewery, all the history there, and their expertise in hands-on and technical training for folks of all degrees and accreditation standards, approached us to do this. And the whole craft district in Tumwater is going to incorporate additional breweries and makers market. And the idea here is that we can have students come in and learn all sorts of skills in the distilling and brewing industries, whether it's accounting, finance, marketing, quality control, production, bottling, packaging, and the kind of a whole front to end on our industries, and it's going to open up by the end of this year.
You know, as this sector continues to grow and expand, and you're really the clear leader in it, can you talk about, building on that comment there, Justin, about what are the workforce challenges today, but what are you also planning for relative to your workforce needs of tomorrow?
Well, as we work to partner with more tribes across the Northwest and across the U.S. and have additional heritage locations open up, we realized that absent a true workforce development program in the country for distilleries, we had to create our own. And anything from how you treat the raw materials to how you create and innovate new products to how do you fix the bottling lines, how do you fix the packaging equipment. And here we are in the Northwest. We have over 1,000 wineries, 500 breweries, 100 distilleries, and yet when we need to get repairs done on a bottling line, we have to wait a day or two for someone to come from out of state, sometimes as far away as Florida. And so we realized that to really create the soup to nuts environment we wanted, we had to create that workforce development, and we thought partnering with the community college was the best way to do that.
I'd be curious what your advice would be to policymakers. I'm thinking more at the state legislature, but federal as well, about what they can be doing to support this important industry in our state.
Yeah, so at the federal level, we've advocated for all the breweries, wineries, distilleries to have predictability in federal excise taxes. And we're trying to get that enacted this year in Congress, and that just lets us be able to plan because we will know what our tax rates are going to be for the beer, wine, or spirits that are produced. At the local level in Olympia, they've responded pretty well when the industry has gone in to ask for assistance, including a major legislative package we got done this spring, partly in help with the AWB. I think the top things that need to really be considered from a manufacturing perspective are the B&O tax. It's really one of the only ones of its kind in the country where we get taxed on our gross revenue, not our net income. And so you can be unprofitable for a year and still have a tax based on gross revenue. So the B&O tax is really is quite onerous. And then from a workforce perspective, Jennifer and I have spent many times talking about this. Housing, transportation, childcare, those are issues that our employees are facing every day. And we as a small company, we can't solve all of those. And so to the extent we can come together as a state to provide those basic items in a way that is not overly onerous to the taxpayer and to manufacturers like us, it'll just make manufacturing that much easier and make the work-life balance for our employees that much better.
I'd be curious, what have you learned during COVID? You pivoted overnight, you're making a brand new product. What's been the lessons learned either in the product side, the regulatory side, the staffing side? Kind of each of you, just take a couple seconds, share. What have you learned?
Go ahead.
The people side really impacted me the most, Justin as well. We started off having to lay off about 100 employees as the same time trying to homeschool 3 children. And so it's the toll of our people that has been the most difficult for me as a mom and a co-founder and president of this company to lead this company in such uncertain times. Luckily, our executive team and our leadership team is amazing, and we all brought different perspectives to the table to really pivot again and push forward with Heritage and the remaining employees that we could keep on our payroll. So, Justin?
Yeah, I joke, what I learned is when I wake up every morning, I get stretched because the amount of pivots and pirouettes you have to do throughout the day now, you'll pull a muscle if you're not ready. The one singular piece of advice I give everybody is don't be constrained by the boundaries of what you think your company currently is today. Be open-minded, look to see what resources you have internally, both from a human capital and the physical infrastructure, and then figure out how best to put those to use and respond to the needs of what the consuming public is asking for.
I could spend another 20 minutes with you both asking you a lot more questions about the business, but our time's coming to an end. What would be your closing advice, though? Last thing, closing advice to an entrepreneur, somebody thinking about starting a company. You would say what? 20 seconds apiece if you would. What's your closing advice? And you're laughing there, Jennifer.
Yes, more capital.
Yeah, I agree. Always plan for double the cost of whatever you think. Get access to more capital as quickly as you can, and just be ready to wake up fighting every day and make sure you have that level of grit required to persevere. Perseverance is the most important thing for an entrepreneur.
Yeah, make sure you have a good partner.
Yeah, amen to both of those. Well, thank you for producing much needed PPE. We're using it. I know so many Washingtonians are using it. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Well, everyone, we did it. Our first ever Manufacturing Week live show is now in the history books. It only ran over by 25 minutes. What a great way, though, to tell the story of manufacturing, to talk about the great story of manufacturers in the state, their employees, the great ecosystem of education, workforce, and talent, and to be right here at Clover Park Technical College. Manufacturing is essential. It creates good family wage jobs, great products, exports for America, and personal protective equipment to help keep us all safe. I need to again thank our friends at Primera, Avista Corporation, Walmart, Boeing, U.S. Bank, UPS, Alaska Airlines, Puget Sound Energy, and Talking Rain for helping to make today's show possible and next week's tour happen. As I speak of next week, be sure to join us again next week from 11:30 to 1 o'clock at mfgiswa.org or live on our Facebook page. Again, many thanks to Clover Park Technical College. Madam President, thank you for having us here on your campus today at the School for Advanced Manufacturing. It's been a great day. Signing off for now, Chris Johnson. We'll see you next Monday.